All right. I want to talk with Michael Weiner about a few things. But first, here is an organization, the World Bank, International Monetary Fund. They were having a little conversation about where things are going. I want you to listen to this, folks. Here we go. This is why you need to make sure you're somewhat out of their system that they're putting in place. Here we go.
Have a beautiful opportunity in front of us with the United States being such an unmitigated disaster as it currently is. Okay, so there is the opportunity, and within that opportunity, I would suggest three things. The first one, we have to have a global asset registry. We have to know who has the freaking money. And if they don't want you to know that they have the money or how much money they have, chances are they got it from somewhere they shouldn't have gotten it from, and they're spending it on something they shouldn't be spending it from. So number one, a global asset registry. Number two, we have to facilitate an international conversation about what is enough. And that if there is a number that is enough, there is a number that is too much. We believe that money becomes power. And when power threatens your democracy, you have to take away power, and the only way to take away that power is by taking away the money. And the only way to take away the money is taxation. So number three, forget progressivity, all right? Forget progressivity, unless by progressivity you mean taxation that makes people less rich. This is not about a 2% wealth tax when somebody's getting a higher return than that. This is about taxation in order to preserve human freedom, to preserve the...
Wow, this is about power, as she said. It's about a global registry of everything you have. Now, let's talk about America going bankrupt, because they're going to use, I think, the bankruptcy of America to implement this digital system and this global registration and tokenization of all goods. Logan, see if you can also find that clip by Jamie Dimon recently. He just said something about tokenizing everything. You have it? You find it while I play this one. Here we go.
Bankrupt. And if they don't stop America going bankrupt, we all have a massive problem. So America today has explicit debt of $36 trillion. That's a very, very big number. There has never been a country that has had $36 trillion of debt. Now, that is somewhere in the region of 120 to 125% of debt to GDP. Now, in the mid-90s, it was Stanford and Harvard professors Reinhardt and Rogoff put together this study called This Time is Different. It's a massive book. It's about 800 pages. They studied a lot of sovereign debt crises through the ages, and they worked out that 90% debt to GDP was about the maximum that could be sustained by an economy before it ultimately ended up in a financial crisis.
And that's where we are, folks. We're over 100. Okay? So this crisis is going to allow them to do a lot of things, right? Just as a world war checks all the boxes, a financial crash or collapse can check a lot of boxes for them. Listen to what the new head of the World Economic Forum, Larry Fink, is saying. Play this, Logan, please.
I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equities to bonds across the board. There's $4.1 trillion of money sitting globally in digital wallets. A lot of that money is outside the United States. If we could tokenize an ETF, digitize that ETF, we could have investors who are just beginning to, invest in markets through, let's say, crypto. They're investing in it, but now we could get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start moving away from traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner, and then having people stay in that digital ecosystem.
Yeah, stay in that digital ecosystem. And when they don't like that you go to certain rallies, like they did in Canada, remember the truckers in Canada? They just went after their bank accounts, debanked them, took their stuff, took their property. That's going to be so easy on tokenization and everything is digitized. But we have more things leading us to this collapse. And not to mention there's an economic war on, and we've made it very easy for our enemies. Well, like China, listen to this.
Billion of U.S. debt, which they do. Then, of course, the United States, as the borrower, has to pay interest, which means that you and I and everybody else gets to pay taxes every year that go to Washington, where they don't fund our roads or schools or hospitals. It's money that the United States government collects and sends to Beijing to pay interest on the debt. And the Chinese use to develop the Red Army. Do you understand? All of this has to happen beneath the surface. Because if Americans understood what I just said, they would realize that beneath all the reality is the opposite. That's the reality of the economic of capitalism.
Now, I don't know that that's the reality of capitalism. So if he's saying that to trash on capitalism, no, this is not the result of capitalism. This is a result of corporatism. This is the result of the third way, thesis and antithesis, idea, opposite idea, socialism, capitalism merging for what I call communitarianism, big government, big business merging, communism light, fascism, whatever you want to call it. And then we have the fact that we don't have enough skilled workers anymore. We've told too many young people, go to college and get your college degree so you can come out stupider and $100,000 in debt with a worthless degree, most of them, or with degrees that are too abundant or not specific enough. And now we don't have trade schools like we should in our schools, you know, where we're teaching shop and so many other things in the schools, mechanics and so much in the schools. And I'm not interested in the government, by the way, saying who goes to college and who goes to trade school. That shouldn't be the government doing that. That's one thing they want to do, which is the 10th plank of the Communist Manifesto, the merging of education with industrial production. I'm not for that. I'm for the market deciding, the parents deciding, the students deciding. But we don't have enough skilled workers. This is also hurting our economy. Listen to this from the CEO of Ford Motor Company.
Morning when I woke up, there were 6,000 bays in our dealerships with no technicians, so can't get my car fixed. Nope.
6,000 bays. 6,000 bays with no mechanics.
2 weeks. Average wait is 2 weeks. Not because we don't have the parts, we don't have the mechanics. Factory workers, construction workers, farmers, all the people that move things, truck drivers, rail workers, and people fix things, plumbers, electricians, HVAC, all the people that basically work with their hands.
Why is there a shortage of these workers?
Well, it's a complicated problem, but there is, let's put it that way, literally 1 million openings right now. Technicians in dealerships working on cars. At Ford, we have 6,000, probably 400,000 repair technician shortages across the economy. First of all, the productivity has not caught up with the white collar. In fact, it's gone down over the last 20 years. Number two, the jobs aren't as glamorous as a white collar job from college. And I think the permitting and all the regulations has really stunted the growth of these kind of jobs.
The over-regulation. Now, here's another clip. Again, this is showing you all the many problems we have. Any of these problems in and of themselves are pretty big problems. But then you add it collectively together, and I think you kind of get a picture of where we're really at. Spent quite a bit of time over the weekend researching all this and grabbing these clips together. I thought I've got to show my listening friends and viewing friends this because I want them to understand the big picture of where we're going. That's what we do here. We project trends. We look at trends, and so people can understand what's happening and take the necessary steps and protections and precautions. Listen to this one.
Going down a road, and if he succeeds, he's going to create millions of manufacturing jobs in a country that currently has nearly 500,000 manufacturing jobs open.
Okay, so if Trump goes down the right road here, he's going to create a lot of manufacturing jobs. Well, great. We already have 500,000 slots open with no one to fill them.
Because the people who run those factories can't find people who want to do the work. So it's not enough to create the jobs.
Right.
But the bigger issue still is there's no enthusiasm for the work. We took shop class out of high school. We robbed kids of the opportunity to even see what that kind of work even looks like. Meanwhile, we told a whole generation of kids they were screwed if they didn't get a 4-year degree. So now you got $1.7 trillion in student debt on the books. You've got 7.6 million open jobs right now, most of which don't require a 4-year degree. And here's the other screwed up part. You got 6.8 million able-bodied men who are not only not looking for work, they're out of the workforce and not looking. So something beyond the tariffs, something beyond policy is going to have to happen to make 22-year-olds go, yeah, man, I would consider.
Wow. 6.8 million guys not even looking for work. Then let's add in all the ones that have died from the COVID bioweapon shot, and then all of those that have been injured from the bioweapon shot. Now, here's the CEO of Land O'Lakes talking about what's happening to our American farmers right now. Listen to this.
Is devastation. And that's not too strong of a word on some farms. Now, you've had land value increase over time, and that means they can collateralize operating loans. And so some of them can get loans, operating loans to plant for next year, but some of them will be challenged and they will move into a risk of bankruptcy. And it's not just what's happening on the farm. That means what's happening in their communities, right? What's happening at the hardware store, what's happening at the school, et cetera. And I think it's important that we all understand rural America, 19% of the population, by the way, they comprise 44% of the military. Service is deeply embedded in these communities. And when you don't have income, when you don't have revenue, rural hospitals have shut down, rural banks have shut down. 70% of the counties in America that index as food insecure are in rural America, housing crisis, et cetera. And so when I'm out in the country, and I'm there quite frequently with farmers or in these communities, it's present that you have these conversations and you try to understand what's going on with their families. 90% of farms are still family owned. These are families, many of whom could be considered hobby farmers because they have to work off the farm, drive in a truck, teach in school, in order to feed their own families.
Pitiful. And unfortunately, it's becoming very difficult now that China is not buying up the soybeans and other things. Here is a CNN piece. Doesn't mean it's not right, though. I mean, she's interviewing the farmer. Let's see what the farmer has to say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm totally mad. There's no reason for it. This is absolute stupidity. This is a man-made crisis caused by Donald Trump, period.
John Bartman is a soybean farmer whose family has been working Illinois land since before the Civil War. This year, his crops, diligently planted, meticulously cared for, are losing their value.
This is a yield monitor. This allows me to see instantly what my yield is doing. So this is 4,134. So that's roughly $40,000 worth of soybeans that we have harvested. And a couple years ago, that was easily $60,000. So that's a major change. This is the economics. It's what we do in this country. We export food. And we can't do that right now.
Soybeans are the largest agricultural export from the U.S., valued at more than $24 billion last year, 52% of which was exported to China. But this year, soybean exports to China are down 51% compared with the same time period last year. The drop comes as China stopped buying soybeans from the U.S. and an escalating trade war. President Donald Trump insists farmers will win the trade war. Posting on Truth Social October 1st, "We've made so much money on tariffs that we are going to take a small portion of that money and help our farmers. I will never let our farmers down." John Bartman is skeptical.
Bailout's not going to do it. Bailout unfortunately, we need the money.
Once you lose a customer like China, can you ever get them back?
I sincerely doubt it. Why would they?
And less people think, oh, well, this is all just political. We even have Senator Grassley, a conservative Republican, moderate Republican, whatever you want to call him, depending on how you view him, of Iowa. Here's what he's saying.
And this president should deal with this farm crisis right now. I'm hearing from bankers. I'm hearing from people that are getting pressed by their bankers to maybe sell part of their farm. So they want to sell to somebody that when they build up their equity, they might be able to buy it back. We haven't had this kind of stress in agriculture since the 1980s. Putting 50% tariffs on things that have steel in them when you can't buy those things in the United States and you need them for your tractor to be finally manufactured. There shouldn't be tariffs on things that you can't get in the United States. Why drive up the price of John Deere's because of a tariff on something they need for the tractor that they can't even get in the United States? It's a stupid policy.
And of course, this is going to have real world problems on to all of us. No doubt about it. Here's another one where we go to Michael Weiner. This is Arkansas farmers.
I've been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love. 5 of my customers have committed.
That's how serious that this is.
And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
I farm with paid-for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work. I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm.
After a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
We made a decision to go out this year in the spring. So my son will not be the 7th generation on our farm.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
Did you ever think we'd be talking about a food crisis in America? Well, we actually talked about that several years ago and said that that was a real possibility. And now one has to ask, who's buying up all the farmland? Is this being done on purpose so massive corporations can buy up this farmland? Because you might want to go look up Acre Tracker, and then go check and look at all the people that have stock in that company. It goes, I guess, and buys up distressed farms. See, any of these issues by themselves are a big problem. It's a big problem. But it's not just one issue. It's all that I have shown you collectively. Now, I don't do this tonight to make you depressed. I do this because I spent part of my weekend doing show prep and research for this week. And I got to thinking about how I need to show my audience what all the different trends are and how they're going to impact them so they can get ready, they can prepare, and they can understand that a crisis is going to be exploited. All these crises will be exploited for your state capital and the folks in Washington to largely take more and more and more control and power. Joining me now is Michael Weiner. Michael, what do you make of these clips I've been showing tonight?
It's eye-opening stuff, especially the soybean issue, which is probably even the most major, as well as the fact of the crash of the U.S. dollar, which I have been talking about, as well as the metamorphosis that's going on economically across the world. The situation with the soybean issue needs to be addressed. It can't be stepped to the side. I think Trump recently said on television that he's going to deal with the Chinese and that we can't sustain a long battle. I've got some issues with this at this point. You know, let's end this stuff. That's enough of the deal. The art of the deal is over. Finish it, okay? Because at this point, people are suffering. And it's going to affect the Republican Party. It's going to affect the election coming up stop the dickering and end this garbage and start paying attention to the farmers and other issues. And trust me, I love Donald Trump, as you well know, but these issues are getting way out of hand. And him and Bassant has got to stop thinking they're going to bury China and get this thing done, because the people that are suffering are all of us in a lot of different ways. And that goes on with what's going on with when you're talking about the digital world that we're heading into, that you went into initially, and what's going to be going on around that. That's the metamorphosis of the world. And that's why Trump even openly stated that the economy is going to be flipping. It's sort of like going from dial phones to push buttons. And people, we have been warning them. I've been saying it on the show repetitively, and nobody gets it. So again, tell me later, pay more, and protect late. You're going to be foolish, because there's something coming up right now, literally in the next 2 weeks, that could have a devastating effect on the financial markets, and nobody's talking about it.
Well, what is that? What is it? What is it? What is it, Michael?
The Supreme Court is deciding on Trump's ability to place tariffs. Right now, many of the constitutional lawyers and a lot of the Democratic, both not Republican constitutional lawyers, openly are stating there's probably a 75% chance he's going to lose. And that's because it's a constitutional issue. The ability for taxation is with Congress, not the executive office. So when that happens and those tariffs get tossed out, there's money that's going to have to be returned. It's going to be a total disaster. Now, people are saying that he's going to sit back and he's making some secondary plans, and I'm happy to hear that, because I'm a person that's for tariffs, but doing it properly, apparently if they come out it was done improperly, then we are going to pay a lot of dues, and those dues will include a drawback in the stock market. Could be anywhere 20 to 25% or more. Don't expect a warning from anybody till after it happens, and watch what happens to gold. At that point in time, we could see $4,500 gold. I'm ahead of schedule this year. That's because of the fact that that we're going into this 20 days. It's 19 days now of the situation of the government being shut down, and that is not something that the Republicans are bearing. It's the Democrats, but none of these people are representing the people. The Democrats are socialists. They don't care. They love this. The Republicans, I don't know what they can do other than there's going to be suffering. So right now, the best thing for people to do is to review their portfolios and get protected adequately. And, that's what we see going on with gold right now. It's up $104 today. I can't tell you how many people contacted us over the week. Oh, well, gold's on its way. There's going to be a crash. It went down $80 today. So what? Okay? If it went down, it needs to occasionally. But the upward trend in this market is like Jamie Dimon came out and now is stating 20% of your net worth in gold. You've got the people at B of A calling for $6,000 gold, because they realize when they do business globally around the world, and I've said it 8 months ago, 6 months ago, 2 months ago, 2 weeks ago, gold is money, and they are having to work within that. That's why they are saying this.
Wow.
I'm done.
Okay, look at this. Here's Trump about China today. This is today. Here we go.
I think China's been very respectful of us. They're paying tremendous amounts of money to us as in the form of tariffs. As you know, they're paying 55%. That's a lot of money. They never were paying anything over years and years and years. But they were like anybody else. A lot of countries took advantage of the U.S. They're not taking advantage anymore. No, China's paying 55% and a potential 155% come November 1st, unless we make a deal. And I'm meeting with President Xi. We have a very good relationship. We're going to be meeting in September.
Okay, so it could be 155% by November 1st if they don't come to a deal.
And it could happen. We don't have, they're also coming to the reality, they don't have that clout. Trump said over the weekend with Maria Bartiromo that this type of trade war is unsustainable. And we need to, like I said, end the art of the deal and end this totally. We need to sit back and legitimately put this to bed. Enough with the deal already. That's too many people, again, are suffering. So that, that's going to affect this. And like I said at the beginning of all this tariff situation, during when Trump's first term came in, he blindsided everybody with this. He caught everybody off guard. Mexico and Canada cut deals right away. Everybody was at the table making deals. This time, he made it clear throughout the entire election that he was going to do it. They were all ready, and when he came in, guess what? Nobody flinched. Not this time. Everybody held their nose up. And we need to have some reality with this whole situation and start getting stop the bleeding, end this, and also look at the fact that the digitalizing of America is not only happening, it's not months away, it's weeks away. And I guess people just don't want to pay attention, Brandon. They just don't want to pay attention.
Listen
literally.
to Basant respond to this, please.
I think we are, could we be in the third inning? So I think this is just taking off.
Third inning of investment in AI?
Oh, sure. In investment, in usage. I think there's a very good chance we see, like in the 90s, with the internet, that with office equipment finally having the productivity miracle. So we had substantial productivity increases in the 90s. I think we're starting to see that now. When I talk to Silicon Valley investors and to corporate America, they think that the AI implementation is just really going to start biting in terms of productivity first, second quarter of next year. And I think the other thing, too, is Biden administration wanted to shackle up AI through this diffusion policy. They wanted to regulate it. Just a few of the biggest companies would have had access to it. So there is tremendous latent demand.
Okay, so AI by the second or third quarter of next year is going to be helping corporations. But how long does that take before it helps the average American? Not that I'm not in favor of technological advances, but a lot of folks cannot hang on much longer. Here's what Trump told Maria Bartiromo on Sunday. Listen to this.
Investing in America, $20 trillion. No country's ever done anywhere even near that, like a fraction of that. Biden did less than $1 trillion in 4 years. I did 20 trillion. We're going to do over 17 trillion in 8 months. By the time we end, we could do over $20 trillion. There's never, in China, no matter where you go, there's never been anything like it. We are building up something that's unbelievable. And a big part of that are the tariffs, because they don't want to have to pay the tariffs, because it's so unsustainable that they come and build the pharmaceuticals and the chips and all of the things. They're coming into the United States and they're building them.
Okay, so if we're bringing in all of this money from tariffs, why not send out money to the American people and say you've overpaid your taxes? Yeah, he's talking about it, but is he going to do it?
That's a question, but understand, if he loses November 5th, guess what? He's got to give this money back. The $60 billion and the other money has got to be given back. That's what I'm talking about here. That whole thing ends if that goes down. That's why there's so much. What they're talking about, it's wonderful. Bringing investment back into America, I love it. I think Trump and Basant are doing a phenomenal job. I think geopolitically around the world, he's doing some wonderful things. However, we need some things that are immediate, just like he fixed the problem with eggs and fixed the problem with oils. He's got to fix the initial needs within the common folk in this country. And if
the common folk,
some money, they need some money.
But I would,
These people need some money.
And I would not be tweeting this kind of thing tonight. I would not be tweeting this kind of thing tonight. The average American could care less about a White House ballroom that they will never be invited to use. They will never step foot in. They don't need to hear about Washington, D.C. and all of their extra perks and parties. And I'm thankful that it's being paid for by, generous patriots, great American companies, and yours truly, as he wrote. That's what President Trump wrote. Zero cost to the American taxpayer. I get that. But the American people do not even need to be hearing about a ballroom. This is a little tone deaf. Farmers are going belly up. People are struggling. They don't need to hear about a ballroom. They need to be hearing about how is he going to make America great again. And right now, he talked about getting rid of the IRS. The terrorists were going to help us get rid of the IRS. I don't hear that talk anymore. I appreciate many of the good things he's done, but like you said, we are in a serious problem right now, and November of 2026 is coming up fast.
And God forbid these people who are the socialist communists get control of this country, because they don't care about us. Even worse. It's like going from better, worse, and to the horrible. Trump, long-term wise, he's doing phenomenal. Bringing stuff back, infrastructure-wise, shipbuilding, the steel industry, oil, all these things are wonderful. Going to the rare earth minerals that he's working on, wonderful. We need short-term, 60-day, 90-day fixes right now, not just the long-term. And this is what he's got to pay attention to, period. Okay? This is what he's got to pay attention to, period. So at the end of the day, that's what the people are suffering with. Hearing about this ballroom, I'm glad he's making the White House nicer. What we want to hear about is what he's doing that's going to change our life in the next 60 to 90 days. That's what people want to hear.
Yep, 100%. Get your free report on precious metals, how to put gold into your IRA, numismatic, 1933 and older, $4,356 tonight. And silver's over $52. Wow, we're going to hit 44 pretty quick, aren't we, Mike?
Unfortunately, I'm way ahead of schedule, but if what happens in November happens, my projection will be in November, $4,500 gold. You guys who want to speculate on the price, go do it somewhere else. We don't do that. We're here about protecting yourself. We're talking about the serious things going on in the world, the serious things that people are looking at us and that we're a country that's in debt up to our yin-yang. We need to be one-dimensional, every single one of us, and review our portfolio while you can. Before you can't.
Before it's a digital system and they have all your assets registered as we started out from that International Monetary Fund clip. India's largest metals refinery ran out of silver for the first time in history. I wonder why. I don't know where it was, what country it was in, but there were lines going around the building, people trying to get in and buy gold. I can't remember what country that was, but there you go.
India.
Was it? There you go.
There used to be that in 1979 when I talked to the people who used to be in the industry like me before in the BC time when I was alive. But at this point of time, back in 1979, offices, my company, I had lines of people in front of the building to buy gold. It's amazing to people in the industry who've been around as long as I have to see the total tone deafness of what's going on. The reason why gold's going up is not because it's a hedge, it's not because it's a safe haven, it's because it's money and because we are in so much debt, our dollar is collapsing, and if you don't join in and protect yourself, you'll go down with them.
And by the way, didn't Jamie Dimon just come out and say gold could go to 10,000?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In fact, I think I just found the article. JP Morgan Chase CEO says gold could hit 10,000. Well, that'll be a real problem because that means something's horribly wrong with the U.S. dollar. I mean, can you imagine the inflation at that point? What kind of inflation do you think we'll be at if that happens?
Probably somewhere between 17 to 20%.
Oh, that would be acceptable compared to where I think it would be. I think it'd be way higher than that.
Worse, but it depends who's running the country and how it goes. I think they'll handle it differently, but there'll be people on the wayside that just don't recover. It's like what happened in 1933. People didn't have mortgages, didn't have debt, but they didn't have money to pay the cost to live, cost to carry, the cost to live. and they lost their homes and their property and other things because they sold it to eat.
Gosh. All right, folks, get your free packet, worldviewgold.com, worldviewgold.com. Again, worldviewgold.com, or 602-558-8585. Text your name and phone number to Wes. He'll send out that free, no obligation packet of information. Great segment tonight. Thank you, Michael.
Have a good evening. Good night, Dolly, wherever you are.
She's right there. Do we have a shot of
Figured
Dolly?
that.
We don't have a shot of Dolly. We got to get the Dolly cam back up, boys. She's curled up into a
There you
knot.
go.
There she is. Look at her right in the corner there. There she is. See her sleeping? Curl up into a knot, sleeping. Mm-hmm. That's how she sleeps all night, by the way. She sleeps like that right at my knee. Curls up about my knee, about my stomach level, right next to me like that. That's how she sleeps every night. All right. Thank you, Michael. And folks, thank you. We'll be right back after this break.
I'll tell you one little quick story. We had a Worldview Weekend client who lived in California, lost their house. Very wealthy guy. He didn't use Bitcoin. He came over here, drove to Arizona with $286,000 worth of his gold because he had no money and no house available. His bank was shut down because he couldn't have access to his bank account.
Was this during the fire? Was this during the fires?
During the fire. Didn't have his driver's license. He lost it. The state wouldn't give him a new license because he had no active mailing address. Real mess. So he came to Arizona to buy a house. He's moving everything over. He said, the only thing I got in my possession that I can get liquid with right now is my gold. I gave him a check for $286,000, and guess what? I didn't need his social, his driver's license. Sort of smiled, and I said, you know, I know you and Brandon talked about how this worked, but boy, this is great. I feel good. I got my money. Nobody bothered me, and I'm protected, and it's private. So you people out there who are sitting on your hands when Wes and I are sending you these requests and Brandon and you are talking to you, you better get active because you're going to pay me $4,000 an ounce the end of the year. Trust me.
You better get your. I highly suggest you get your free packet. You don't have to do anything. It's free, no obligation. Just simply go to worldviewgold.com, fill out the form, worldviewgold.com, or just text Wes and give him your name and address and say, I want the free packet. That's all you got to do. 602-558-8585, 602-558-8585.